Good morning, afternoon, and evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted to be here with you today to explore a topic that lies at the intersection of fiction and reality, the concept of crime and punishment. In the fictional realm of Thomas More's Utopia, the stance of crime and punishment challenged societal norms and ignited debate on the effectiveness of our criminal justice system in America. As the United States grapples with the complexity of crime and the efficiency of its measures, I will explore the premise that harsher punishments for criminals may be necessary evolution in the American justice system. Drawing parallels and differences with the ideas proposed in Utopia, religion, law, and punishment all play a role in how humans act and behave. The fear of punishment, whether it is from the government or a higher power, leads most humans to do the right thing. However, people have grown to be more corrupt and fear punishment less. Harsher punishments must be applied to crimes and acts of violence. Some research shows that other countries with more severe consequences have lower crime rates. However, other research says that increasing sentence times in jail can increase crime rates if increased sentences times doesn't scare sane criminals into making the right choice. Then it is obvious that some of these consequences must be altered and made more extreme. Thomas More, who lived in the late 15th to early 16th century, witnessed a time when even minor crimes could lead to severe punishment. Without considering the historical context, one might view More's and my stances on punishment as constraining. However, there is common ground. Both More and I agree that those found guilty of significant crimes should face severe but non-lethal penalties, such as lifetime labor. This paper argues that punishment should be. Countries like North Korea, which despite their harsh and arguably unjust consequences, have significantly lower crime rates. The paper proposes that for heinous crimes, imprisonment alone is insufficient. Resulting contact with the outside world might be a more efficient deterrent. This approach assumes that the fear of losing contact with loved ones might discourage potential crimes. Conversely, some studies, like those cited by Ben Knight, suggest that merely the increasing sentence lengths can paradoxically lead to an increased crime rate. Therefore, it is argued that punishment should not just lengthier, but qualify more daunting to severe and true deterrence. In medieval times, punishments were often public and brutal, serving as a spectacle intended to deter others from committing similar crimes. This approach has the goal of an efficient and instilling fear, often lacking fairness, and did not necessarily lead to decrease in crime rate. In contrast, modern systems tend to focus more on rehabilitation than on strict punishment. However, this shift has not necessarily resulted in lower crime rates, suggesting that a balance between deterrence and rehabilitation might be necessary. Different cultural and legal systems provide further insight into efficient crime deterrence. The Scandinavian countries, known for their focus on rehabilitation and the humane prison conditions, have some of the lowest amount of people reoffending globally. This suggests that a system focused on rehabilitating rather than strictly punishing offenders can be efficient. However, it's important to consider the societal and cultural context in which these systems operate. What works in one country might not be as efficient in another due to the societal norms. Religion instills morals that shape decision-making throughout a person's life. Growing up Catholic, in the Catholic faith, I have absorbed numerous morals that are less emphasized in today's society. My aim is not to be a good human being, but also to strive for heaven, aligning with my religious beliefs. Additionally, I harbor a theological based fear due to the perspective of the evil and injustice in every community. This summer, I actually had the opportunity to go into a completely new culture. I was able to travel to Jordan with a Muslim family for 18 days. There I observed what they believed in to go to hell, which what they wanted was more good deeds than bad deeds. And that was like their biggest deterrence, and it wasn't even governmental punishment, but the fear of the divine retribution and the afterlife that God would have on them. And it was really important, and I also learned that a second family is really important in deterring crime. Because through social support and community values, Islamic law provides a complete legal system balancing changing circumstances of society with contrast of human nature. It establishes punishments for certain crimes reflecting a combination of stability, flexibility, and firmness. In the Catholic faith community, rehabilitation is extremely important to restore them to society as a reformed individual. The Catholic teaching emphasizes responsibility and accountability for actions that harm others or violates rights. It holds that punishment should have a clear purpose, like protecting society and rehabilitating offenders, rather than being solely punitive. I believe that criminals need to be punished, but I also think that they need a family to support. For example, an evaluation of the Interchange Freedom Initiative, a faith-based prison program located in Richmond, Virginia, concluded that IFI program graduates had significantly lower rates of arrest following a release from prison than a matched group of prisoners not participating in IFI, 17.3% versus 35%. Similarly, those completing the IFI programs have significantly lower rates of reincarnation than the comparison groups, 8% versus 20.3%. David Brown from the UNSW Law writes about the long-held belief in effectiveness of the severe punishment for deterring crime. He states in his finding that deterrence is very largely an article of faith. But what the research shows is that the system has little to no deterrent effect. This challenges the idea that fear of harsh consequences deters crime. Brown suggests that punitive measures, including imprisonment, might increase the likelihood of people reoffending, stating, imprisonment itself and punishment more generally is criminologic. In the American justice system, where imprisonment is prevalent, this raises significant concerns. The concept of marginal deterrence, which relates to the severity of punishment, appears ineffective in reducing crime or reincarnated rates. Brown's statement, the severity of punishment known as marginal deterrence has no real deterrence effect, brings into question the approach of escalating punitive measures as a mean to achieve a safer society. The alarming high recurrence of criminal behavior among former offenders lays bare the inefficiency of imprisonment. In our prison system, Brown brings to light a statistic of roughly around 60% of the people sentenced to prison have previously been in prison. This figure exposes a fundamental flaw. Instead of facilitating rehabilitation, it often ensures individual in a relentless cycle of criminality. The broader societal repercussions of incarceration includes the ostracization from employment opportunities and the stigma that is attached to their criminal record. Only aggravated this problem, as Brown affirms, imprisonment hinders the possibility of making reparations, paying off debts, and increasing the likelihood of homelessness, and in some cases can break up contact with their families. These insights necessitate a shift in the approach towards crime, a shift that leans more towards social policies and rehabilitation strategies over punitive ones. In conclusion, this paper has navigated the complex topic of crime punishment in society. It draws from Thomas More's Utopia to modern perspective. Religious teachings in both Islam and Catholicism emphasize community support, moral conscience, and rehabilitation over the measures in society. The topics of different culture and legal system alongside research from independent to government research. Let's us see the need for a more multi approach to criminal justice, integrating rehabilitation and restoring practices focused on transformation and addressing social issues appears more promising in reducing crime. Thank you, everybody.